Derek, where you got us sitting today, man? It's Memorial Day. It's not the day to be happy. We'll get into that a little bit. It's a day to reflect and to thank the Gold Star families who have sacrificed for us to have a 3-day weekend. Where are we today?
Sitting outside. We are not sitting inside today. That was my goal for the entire day. We were sitting outside.
We're not even poolside.
No, but we're around the bikes. We're at the new PEEWEE track.
We have another guest. We're getting really good at these guests. But before we go any further, this is episode 12 of the Beyond the Curve, the MX podcast. That's Derek Schaefer. I'm Trey Heath. Derek, introduce our guest today, please.
All right, today we got Danny Yannone. He owns 53 Grafix. We got a helmet right here that he paints. You paint for all Futures helmets, right? And,
yeah, a few of them. Hoping to get on with some other stuff for outdoors and Supercross for next year, and do a lot of Harleys, boats, stuff like that.
Professional painter at the least. I mean, this guy's got some awesome stuff. He's got his helmets every weekend. He's also a PW dad, just like us, and we are usually with these guys at the track every weekend. So, welcome, Danny.
Nice.
Hey, by the way, before we go any further, you paint a boat. What's that? What's that like?
So I don't do like the gel coat and stuff. I do, if they want like graphics or something, I do basically big motocross helmets. It's kind of a niche I found during the whole COVID thing. I had a shop at the house, so I was just banging out boats and putting Harley paint jobs on outboard motors, and I kind of found a niche with that. And Rainer Racing kind of got me back into the roots of it, just motocross helmets. And I got a Harley shop right next door, so I do a lot of Harley stuff. I used to do all this stuff for the 3 Orlando dealers and Tampa Triumph and a few other dealerships. Fun bike. Just helmets where it's at though. I like doing the helmets.
The helmet painting, I guess, did it kind of take a hit with the influx of sports drinks? And do you still get a lot of the good custom painted helmets?
The personable ones, the ones, you know, I do them for Raina, so we have extra trophies. You know, I do one for her, I'll put it up on the shelf after a season. That way it just goes along with the memories and the what we're doing. You know, she'll look at that helmet and remember 10 years from now, I wore that when I did this race and won this one. The time she won up at Spider, that first win, that helmet went right to the shelf. Like, we retire them after that.
Cool.
That's a milestone. That helmet gets put up next to those trophies.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. We'll definitely have to dive in, because I just think, I mean, I have no artistic ability. I can't even draw a smiley face, but so I think it's awesome when someone has a craft that they can do and do it well.
Yeah, and that's why he's here. We got, you know, trying to stay around our mindset of the motocross business, but not also just the business. I mean, he's a MOTODAD, so as you can tell, all that stuff goes to heart. Same way here. You know, yep. we are the exact same way with a lot of our stuff. So, yeah, this should be a fun episode.
Yeah. Well, we got a little bit. I mean, we had a couple weeks off of professional stuff. We're not gonna, as we've said, we're not gonna dive in and spend the hour on the great outdoors. Which, man, oh man, was that a beat? I was looking at that thinking, there's hair scramble guys that would have done pretty good.
Oh yeah.
On that track this
weekend. It was pretty gnarly.
Yeah, we didn't watch it till yesterday. Brought Raina to a buddy of mine's house. His son just started riding, so Raina goes over there and rides with them. And we watched a little bit of it yesterday while we were sitting in the garage. And that track, boy, that ain't gonna be the worst one.
No. That track's a favorite for a lot of these guys, and that thing was just whooped out. I mean, it's pretty sad when they're catching all their speed going downhill.
Yeah.
And then they're all bobbling going down. It was wicked.
Well, I thought it was unique because that's by nature a fairly hard packed, dried out track, and it actually had some soft spots in it, and then it did have the basically blue groove hard corners up top.
Oh yeah.
But it was amazing. I will say too, congratulations whoever their drone pilot is. Holy moly,
he does an
man.
awesome job.
You could see the braking bumps in the straightaways, and you could see the ripples, and I thought, man, if this is the coverage for outdoors this year,
yeah, he's on point.
Yeah. Let's get it going.
Yeah, you can really see what they're getting into. And like back in the day, you couldn't see nothing.
No,
you just see the bike swapping everywhere.
Yeah. And it used to be those higher up videos were everything looked flat. It was like you're in an airplane. You're like, oh, this would be easy to ride.
Yep.
But no, it was full 4K, awesome video. But I felt bad for all those guys yesterday because that track was gnarly. Or what was it? What's
Saturday.
today? Monday. Wow.
Yeah, Monday.
Yeah, so Saturday.
Yeah.
But
request from Michelle is though she would like, because I looked for it last night because we did the same thing. We didn't watch. Yesterday was racing day, the greatest day in racing ever. You had Monaco Grand Prix, Indy 500. Then we don't watch the races live. I watch them the next day.
Yeah.
So yesterday, that's all we did was watch racing.
Do you know how Kyle Larson did? Did you watch any of that?
It was today at 3 o'clock. They got rained out yesterday.
All right.
So the 600s got rained out until today.
Yeah.
But she wants to know what's the height, because as much as TV does flatten it out, the drone showed the height. What's the base level to the height of the tall mountain they were climbing yesterday? Like, what's the elevation? And I did everything I could to look for that yesterday online, and there's not one site that has like elevation change 72 feet or anything like that. So
I'm not sure on that track.
I would love to see like an elevation
we'll have to look it up, because it's a climb.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll look that up.
But I thought that was pretty cool. Just another piece of this is someone who enjoys watching racing. But hey, that's a question I have, and you can't go find the answer.
Yeah.
And it's like, that'd be cool to know that stupid information. But there's fans that may grab them.
Yeah.
And say like when they go to Mount Martin at Millville. Sorry, Millville. When they go to Millville, like, how high are they actually going up to what's the elevation change from top to bottom in that track? And I think that's just something. But let's get on to the racing. I've talked already enough. You two, let's talk quickly about kind of what you saw. There's not much to talk about.
No, I mean, like we've been talking for weeks that you asked me, how's Jet Lawrence going to do, and I said he's going to dominate this series. He's a dominant rider, period. His smoothness, his prettiness on a bike. I've said from day one that before he's going to give everybody a rude awakening, and that's exactly what he did. Chase Sexton was running his balls off, if you ask me. He looked like he was taking it easy, but I don't think he was. That kid was riding to try to keep up with Jet, and it's like Tomac's gone, so I think Sexton thought, well, I might have this one in the bag, and then here comes Jet Lawrence, and I think he's going to take the series. Like I've said that from day one.
You think so?
I think so.
I think Cooper's going to make a stand this year.
Cooper did well for just coming back. I expected him to slack off.
Yeah, coming off an injury, and the way he rides, and is very conservative. I think as chill as he is, I think through the season he's going to make progression with that. With the top guys being out, I thought if Barsha wouldn't be out,
Barsha is always
Barsha kills the outdoors. Yeah. You know what I mean? You got upstate New York kid that rides in the woods and learned in the woods. So I think Barsha being out and Tomac being out gives Jet a little bit of leadway. And don't get me wrong, them two kids, since they've come here, have made a name for themselves. They're doing something. It was good to see RJ do what he did.
RJ did awesome.
I like them local Dade City kid. I used to do RJ's helmets up until the Geico ride stuff. So
he also did RJ things too.
Yep.
He whiffed it there.
He did.
He does that, and that seems to be a thing with the local kids. Like once they start going, you make one mistake, and then you try to power back, and you keep making mistakes, and they get in their head. We don't know exactly what's going on in these guys' head on that track. Being a rider and Derek being a rider, like. Kind of where they're at, but at that level, they're trying to overcome something after an accident,
and
a little wreck and bobble.
We've rode on some nasty tracks. I've rode some nasty tracks, being from up north, but I will say I looked at that track and I'm like, good God, because
braking bumps going into the turns were insane.
Yeah,
Ruts were insane.
Even you looked at coming down that one hill, and then they were just losing that bike all over the place. Yep. And then once they got into the turn, the rut would suck them in, and then it's like it threw them back out before. So it's literally just a hold on game at that point, and then they would ride out of it. And it was wicked. But yeah, talking about RJ, I think we talked a couple weeks ago, and you said what do you think's going to happen here? And you said, what about RJ? And I said that he's going to come out, and I think we're going to see good things from him. And we did. Moto 1. Moto 2, he bobbled. But that's a racing incident, you know.
Still
it
third
happens.
overall, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's doing what he's supposed to be doing. You know, I used to watch him sponsor cup stuff. Dade City, fall, come back, win. With a handful of other kids that are local that were super fast at the time. Unfortunately, they don't have that now, and I wish they did, so our kids could experience that. But we used to stick around and go to Dade City every points night to watch RJ, Corey Huberty, DJ, like all these kids battle. And that was during a time period where there was a group of fast kids at a local track that all could have made it. Fortunately, RJ, you know, he went and did the Daytona thing, and he did really good and got a foot in the door and has been doing what he's doing. He just signed another contract. He's doing what he's supposed to be doing. I think he's going to do really well this year outdoors. He's the type that if he does mess up, man, he collects himself. He goes back.
No, he does well.
He does what he's supposed to do mentally. And, you know, from an outsider standpoint, like watching these kids develop mentally at that level is the most important thing. They don't just go out there and wheel that thing. You know what I mean?
No, most of it's a mental game, and we've talked about that on here before. That from the motocross standpoint, you guys is a mental game too, being like the FTR stuff. But like the motocross, if you're not feeling it, you don't ride well at all.
No.
And you know, our kid's a prime example. Like last race at Dade City is usually Raina, his daughter here, and our boy. They're always battling. Like that's one of their things is they're battling back and forth. And Bowen, our son, just
he didn't want nothing to do with it.
He didn't sleep. Like he didn't sleep the night before, and mentally he just wasn't there. And he rode terrible.
Yep.
And you know, we built this PEEWEE track out here yesterday, and he watched me build it all day, and he's like, I want to ride. And he was there all day. He went out there and just tore this thing up yesterday.
Well, no, do that at home. Like I said, I took Raina riding yesterday, and she's riding the KTM, and it's like, you know, if you did that on that machine at the races, you'd be all right.
Even the Thursday before the last race, we went up to Dade and we practiced, and that kid was just nailing turns, hitting ruts. I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. And I told Brianna, my wife, I'm like, this week's going to be a good week at the race. I'm like, he's on it.
Yeah.
And then we get there, and it's, dude.
It's almost like you get to that point and you want to say, and I did it with this going into this last week.
Yeah.
We rode one time during the week. I seen that she was at this level, and I was like, even at 5 years old, I'm like, we're going to stop this now.
Yeah.
You can ride that e-bike at home and practice your form and everything else, but we're getting off the bike. And then we're going to go back Saturday, and I mean, she killed it Saturday. Like, since her accident.
She was riding well.
Yeah, I mean, opening night, getting airlifted, and us kind of building back
and
up.
We'll talk about that too.
Yeah, we went through that whole thing, and this last week, I was super proud of my kid. For like 2 laps of the whole night, I'm proud of what you did, and you were supposed to be doing what you're doing. And I'm trying to come from where we were back in the day, and like, you're supposed to do this every time.
It's hard, and we ride every day, and now I know we kind of switched gears from pro to MOTODAD.
I got the segue to this right now. Now, based upon those conversations, let's look at that 250 class, and which of those guys that are out there has that mentality of, oh, I'm in this. Or after that first round, they're already like, well, I don't have it. Because I got about 8 guys that I were like, okay, I feel like the 250s could be better than the 450s this year.
They're definitely more exciting.
Yeah,
you got kids pushing.
That's what I was gonna say. They're out there pushing. Where the 450s, those top guys are just riding. Where the 250s are, every single one of those guys out front was just hammering.
Yeah, they want to make that name's got to be at the top of that board to get to that next level where they're going. You got kids like RJ and stuff that are signed and you know what they're doing, but like them guys that are, you know, 11th back that are trying to make a name for themselves, and them kids are riding this whole the HBI team, Matt Bell's team.
That's what I was just gonna bring up. Yep.
These kids, they all made the main.
Yeah.
They all went to the big show, and you got to think of the heart and the mentality and everything that's getting put into this to not get on that podium.
Yeah.
Like, just to be there and do it.
Speaking of the HBI team, Meshi, he went out there. I don't remember what he finished overall, and I'm going to give a huge hats off to Matt Bell and the whole HPI crew. because 4 weeks ago he hadn't even been able to put weight on his foot, and he went out there and he made the show. He's still out there riding. I think he's only rode 4 times ish before this show. So he went out there and did well. He's been on a foot or a leg injury for weeks now, and he went out there and did what he needed to do. Hardy Munoz, I think he finished. He was top. He was in the 20s.
Yep.
Yeah, I think 26, 24.
Yeah, but for a small team that comes from right here,
Yeah.
I think they did fantastic, and they're a brand new team. Like, this was just a couple months ago that this was all put together.
Yep. Here we got a rig. We're going racing.
Yep.
Yeah, and I've spoke with Matt on the phone. Matt's a super cool dude.
Yeah, I've talked to Matt.
He supports these kids
Anytime.
and like, to me, that means more than these big Honda teams and these big Husky teams. To have somebody that's willing to put the money up, being the least part of it, you know what I mean? Just putting your time up to go all the way across the country from Florida.
Yep.
To support some kids that are racing. And I mean, yeah, it's cool. It's your dream too. You know, you want to be a team owner, you want to go, but like, these kids' dream is what's really
awesome.
where it's at.
What's awesome with Matt Bell is they're full into pro. You know, they have a pro team now, but they still have a full amateur team. So
they got a shitload of amateur team.
And
like,
they're giving
a bunch of them.
All of these kids an opportunity. You know, you'll see a lot of these teams, they make it pro, and then the hell with those amateur kids.
Yeah, and that's what I like. The kids that make it to that level, that still practice with, even kids that aren't on their team, that aren't with the same, but will go to the track and see this kid or that kid that's doing good, and they'll still, here's a pointer, here's this, here. Like, to me, that's what it's all about. Once it starts getting, like these people say competitive baseball is, parents start getting where they don't give tips and they don't, listen, if you're better and your rider's better and he's helping somebody else, it doesn't even have to be the mentality of you'll never catch me, but help that next kid out.
Yeah.
Like, this is what this sport's all about, is those amateur kids.
Yeah.
Because without those amateurs, like Ryan Dungy,
there's
Barsha,
no future.
They were all amateurs at one time, and we were watching them. We were, wow, that kid's gonna make it.
Yeah.
Without them, like, once you get to that certain level, if you turn that off and you don't keep like helping the kids coming up, that's where it shuts me off.
Yeah.
Like,
I agree.
I'll go to the track. I'll paint helmets for any kid. You know what I mean? Like, I see a kid that's doing good, I'll go offer, like, hey, you got a lid? I'll paint that thing up for you. Just A, to get my name out there. B, this does a lot for a kid.
Yeah.
To put that helmet on with your name on
Look
the
at
back,
my helmet.
Yeah, like, they feel that's, you know, new golf club syndrome.
Yeah.
You know,
and it's all confidence builder.
Yep.
I mean, these kids at our kids' age, that 5 years old, we weren't racing.
No.
And I think, you know, our race career has pushed them to ride at a young age.
Yes.
But
and we're hard. We're probably harder than we should be.
We've talked about this before. That has a lot to do with it.
At least you got boys. You can yell at them. I have a little girl, and she'll lay that dirt bike over and be like, "Daddy, you're not going to talk to me like that. I'm out of here."
Like, give her time. I'm a girl dad, and yeah. You'll be all right.
Super competitive though, but
just keep digging in on her. They'll figure it out.
Yeah, she does. Like I said, we went through that whole experience, and we come back, and it's taken a couple weeks.
Yeah,
she's finally getting back to where she was, and it makes me feel good as a dad. I'm like, oh, cool, I got this tough ass little girl. And on the flip side of it, I'm scared to death.
Yeah, like I said, here we'll get through these pros, and we're going to talk about Raina's injury because I was there for it. I tried to prevent it. There was a lot of us there that night that went through that, and it was quite the event. You probably don't even know much about it, but we're going to dig into it after we get through these pros.
So 250s to me looks like this. There's about 7 guys filling the top 10. There's about 4 guys that I think can win on a normal basis. There's the other 3 of those guys are going to pop off and could win. I think like a Maximus Volan, which we got to get with James and remind him he's got to say Maximus because he doesn't want to be Max anymore. Maximus could throw in a win. But I think you look at Shimoda, it's Hunter, it's RJ.
Yep.
Those 3 are kind of, and then I think of Justin Cooper, once he looked way better And I guess we're gonna have to throw in Deegan because, good heavens, the guy.
I think he's gonna make the statement this year. Honestly, the kid's got outdoor skills. The kid comes from a good background, and as much as these people
Who are they angry with? I don't understand. They keep talking about all these haters. Dude, you're good. Everybody knows you're good. But
that's what it is. He comes from this background where everybody thinks it's just money, money, money. They don't realize that his dad's the one that made this empire.
Yeah.
Like it's not coming from money. You got a father that put you on a dirt bike and you're doing the damn thing. Like you're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah,
if this is what you want to do. These people that are, hey, with this kind of money, he can do anything he wants. Listen, any of these factory riders have that money to do this.
Yeah.
The kid has the stamina. The kid, he might get a little cocky at times. Good for him. He's 17, 18 years old.
But money doesn't buy the training that you're talking about. Money does not buy the stamina, the physical ability.
We know as parents, you got to have a kid that wants to be on the bike.
Yeah.
That kid's seen what his dad did, and he wants to be on the bike. He's doing what he loves to do. I watched him at Mini-O's. The kid's good.
Yeah.
Like the way he rides this bike, and he's like, to me, it's almost like that. They're starting to ride these 4-strokes like they're 2-strokes. It's all hammered down, all the whole time.
Yep.
And like for me, that's exciting. They're taking these 4-stroke bikes that you didn't have to give much effort in, and they're starting to ride them like that.
Yep.
So what comes next?
That's what's excelled the sport.
Yeah, you got these and he's like I said, he's got the stamina. He's young. He's doing what he's supposed to be doing, man. You can't really hate on the kid for that at all.
No, but I feel like they have a chip on their shoulder of. They keep talking about
they
the
think
haters.
that there's haters,
and it's like, dude, we all get it.
Yeah.
You're good. Like, you're good. Just go be good.
Yeah, let them hate
and just hush. Like, stop. Go be good because you are good. You're gonna develop haters because we don't know who's hate. I mean, I understand there are haters.
Yeah,
but your skill on this bike, you're good. You don't just get gifted that.
A group of people didn't like Jeff Gordon when he was winning.
People
didn't like Dale Earnhardt when he was winning.
And it's a never-ending battle. And I agree with the whole Deegan thing because they're creating some haters, based off of what they're doing. But they have one of the most popular YouTube channels.
Yeah.
Brian Deegan, of all people, is one of the most popular FMX rider ever.
Yeah.
Then you got Hayden that's coming up, that is a very good 250 rider. Yeah. I mean, he's extremely popular because of his dad, but he's also created his own popularity. So I don't know why they push the hater agenda because they're good at what they do. Well, and, Haley and the trucks and
and I say this because his podium speech. You just finished second, and he's like, yeah, there was a lot of people that didn't think I could. I'm like, actually, I don't think there are.
I think everybody knew you would.
There's probably quite a few that think that you couldn't. Probably quite a few that think you could, but I mean, if you leave that, if he lets that get to him, that's what's going to.
Yeah, look at the
positives. That'll be the downfall.
Yeah.
But I think that also creates the hype.
Mm-hmm.
He comes from a background of hype, like.
Yeah.
If you're not creating it,
Yeah.
I used to watch Krusty videos.
Oh yeah.
You gotta have the hype. There was
a
lot of people that were against all these guys that were this good going away to do what they did, and they've made careers out of it.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately that's what it's about, is building your brand, building yourself. Like, as long as he keeps a good attitude and, does what he's supposed to do, he's always going to have a ride. He's always going to have a ride. But I think top of the 250, I think by race 3 or 4, you're going to start seeing him on that top 1, 2, the whole race.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to give them Lawrence boys a run, and he's going to give RJ a run, and that's scary for them guys, but he's the up and comer, and there's been a long time since it's been somebody like that. Like, we used to watch James Stewart back in the day. We knew when we turned the TV on, this kid could fall on the 5th lap and dominate the rest of the race.
Totally win it.
I'm waiting for somebody like that again, because there hasn't been one.
Yeah.
Like Carmichael, him, McGrath back in the day used to check out and just leave.
So stupid predictions with 20 motos left. Who? I mean, we're not going to cane anybody if they're wrong, but who's going to? We watched it. There were 2 diverse motos, different people up top. Who wins it?
I think it's hard to tell, but I think we're also going to see a lot of guys that now they got the first race nerves out of the way.
Yep.
Once they start calming down, like the Munoz, the guys like that are, I feel probably had a lot of nerves in them. New team, all that kind of stuff. Get that out of the way. Now that they got their feet wet. A lot of these guys have been injured. So there's a lot of nerves that play into all that. So I think now that that's out of the way, things are going to open up. The doors are opened up for other people. I still think Jet's going to be a top contender, but that's the 450 wise. But as his 250s, Deegan's gonna be right there. I mean, there's not a doubt in my mind.
I think he'll top 3. Like, I can't make a solid prediction off.
No, you can't. But that's the fun.
And that track was wicked.
If I had to say, I like RJ. RJ's usually pretty consistent. He does good, and he's got his bad days.
But he's got his head on his shoulders, so
he's got enough time in these pros now where it's calculated decisions.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing for him. You gotta think of the long run too. These guys at that age, man, they got families now. They got kids.
Yep.
They gotta make smart decisions on and off the track. On the track, most of the time you get hurt, you're done.
Yeah. And the sport's a lot different now too, based off the family aspect. People have kids a lot younger now. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
So
we were watching pros. They were smoking Camels and drinking
exactly out of the back of a van, and that was their life. There was no.
And that was cool. It was all natural talent. It wasn't training. It wasn't who you had backing you. It was.
And Carmichael's the one that changed all that.
Yeah.
But back then, the McGrath days, it was all drinking out of a van, and we go out and we tear it up, and we party right afterwards, and it was a different girl every night or whatever.
Yeah.
And now they're family oriented. They got families and.
It's progression,
Yeah.
I think this is more like NASCAR now than it's ever been, and before they go changing it, I mean, they already did the stupid playoff thing and everything else, which I don't agree with at all. I like racing.
Yeah.
We'll go racing. We'll do a series. We'll get points. We'll figure out this playoffs 6 months later. Like, that messes up. They did it with race cars, and I come from a race car background. My whole family raced dirt cars up north, so. Them throwing this craziness in there where there's playoffs.
They've all realized, and this is the economic side of it. Formula One has sprint races that pay points. I mean, Formula One's the largest motorsport in the world, and MotoGP does the same thing now. And heck, in the MXGP, the qualifying races, you can earn points in the qualifying race.
I get it's the evolution.
Yeah.
But I'm old school.
It's the world we're coming into.
Let's watch some heat races, watch a main event, and get some points. We'll go.
Yeah.
It creates a lot more for the fans, and I get that, and it creates a lot more for it to be televised, and I hope someday that the whole motocross and supercross is just like NASCAR, because honestly, I've done both. I've done the race car thing, I've done the dirt bike thing. It's harder to get on a dirt bike and ride for 30 minutes. I can get in a race car and wheel that thing for 20 laps. That's fun, and it wear you out, but it is nothing like these kids go through on these dirt bikes.
Yeah.
Every lap's different.
Especially the young kids. I mean, kids our age that in their mind it's just play,
Yeah.
And we're out there, like you said, we might be a little bit harder than we should at times, but they screw up and we'll bounce on them, but they're still 5 years old.
Oh, yeah. If it weren't for Lindsay, Raina would have quit riding already. Like,
it's the same way.
I was to the point where I was MOTODAD 100%.
Yeah.
I'm yelling at this little girl, and it makes you feel bad as a dad. I'm like, I messed up.
Especially the next day, you think about it, and you're like,
I was 5 minutes later going, oh man, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
But I get caught up in it. I expect so much from her. I shouldn't expect as much, because once I got to the point where it's like, you're having fun.
Yeah.
Let's go have fun, man.
Yep.
Riding in a helicopter changed that altogether.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll do that.
Yep.
I think there's a lot of to me, looking at the first motos, just seeing how the day went for a 250, I think this is the year of Hunter, and I don't mean that he's going to dominate. I think it's going to be a very tight battle, because I think Justin Cooper's going to come into his own.
Yeah.
I think Deegan's going to show flashes. I think Joe Shimoda may be one of the faster guys of the whole class, but there's an economic model here that I believe if Hunter gets this title, he's done with 250s, and it's going to be a brother on brother 450 for Honda.
That would be really cool.
But I think there's a lot of, if I get this done, I'm done. I get to go.
Yeah, I get to move up.
Yeah, and I think there's something riding on this.
Yeah, because there's got to be some kind of family competition there. You know what I mean? As close as they are, and as much as there isn't visually, there's got to be some. All right, he's on 450s. I got to catch him.
Yeah, I think there's something, but I think there is, because there's just so many rumblings of that happening, and maybe there is. Honda's like, hey, we got to get a guy for the 250s, or you're back down here for one more run at the 250s.
Yeah.
And I just think for the family, for him, economics, the business side of it, their agent pushing the model and everything. I just feel like if he just goes out and he rides like he rode this weekend, gets a second and a first, and I mean, he was in fourth with like a lap and a half to go, and all of a sudden he was in second. He just made a move and was like, okay, see you guys later. And I don't think he has to win every round. I just think he has to kind of be there. And that being said, I'm not saying that with the utmost confidence. Like I said, I named 2 or 3 other people that I think can get in the mix.
Well, that's how that points race goes. You know, consistency pays off.
Yeah.
It only takes a couple times.
Look at Chase Sexton. I mean, that's a prime example of all of it. But I think Hunter getting the SX championship was probably a big confidence boost for him. And he's been wanting it. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that they've always wanted it. But I think that's helped a lot. But I know that I can probably say for certain that he wants that MX championship under his belt before he.
That outdoor, to me, I think that outdoor means more than Supercross.
Yeah.
Supercross to me is it's showy. That outdoor shows
skill.
Your skill, your endurance, your
That's where
ability.
it all started. I
mean, Supercross is the catwalk for couture fashion. Outdoors is coleslaw wrestling at the Cabbage Patch in Daytona.
Hey, I've been there. That's a good time, actually.
But I mean, you're getting down and dirty.
Yeah.
You're getting down and dirty.
Yeah.
And I think for the 250s, it's going to be the better series. But my only thing from the 450s, I'm going to let you have the floor on that, because I know your heart is beating fast for the winner of the 450s. But I'm just going to say, man, how about these privateers that are getting a chance to shine? And it's a little bit thin when Adam Cianciarulo crashes, and I look up less than halfway through, he's already in ninth, and he still finished in seventh.
Hey, the kid is still doing his thing, man. And it was badass when he was little, and
and he had to work through some parent things.
He is
most definitely.
He's still doing his thing with that, and you're getting a paycheck. You're doing what you love. You're still on a major team,
and they re-signed him,
and you keep going.
Yep.
Between him and everybody else at that level, Kyle Chisholm is still.
Dude, I was shocked to see Kyle
still
Chisholm
doing it
in for the outdoors. I'm like, well, I guess when Kenny leaves to go to World Supercross, they need riders outside.
Yeah, I remember. I grew up Dade City. I remember watching him race a 250 money class on a X100 and dust him. And just put it to them. It's cool to see somebody our age still doing what they're supposed to be doing out there, and giving people a run for the money. You're more than half the field up, dude. You're doing your thing.
I thought Ferrandis looked pretty good for coming back. Still not my favorite guy, but that Gummy looked pretty good.
Yep.
But we're gonna let Derek have the floor here. Should we play the holy music? And
no,
go ahead.
I'm not full blown on the Jet Lawrence, but I do like Jet just because of, like I said.
I can hear the angels right now.
I disagree. I think if Barsha and Tomac were there, kid would have a run for his.
I'm
money.
a Barsha guy through and through. I've always been a Barsha guy. Some people, I've caught criticism over it because he's a dirty rider, this and that. But Barsha's he's nasty on the bike. Yeah. He's just the kid. I have watched him from when he was a kid, when I was a kid, when he was a kid. We're like the same age, but
that's how you race. You block pass. You put people.
That's
up,
racing. Like I said, I was telling you earlier that our youngest, our 5-year-old Bowen, took out our oldest up at Spider this week, and
it's fun to watch.
And I gave him a thumbs up and a smile when he come around after he took his brother out, his brother was throwing a fit and crying, but that's racing, you know. And that's what I took our oldest, and I'm like, what happened? He's like, you hit me in the front tire. I'm like, that's racing.
Yeah.
That's why you don't race.
No, and I love your kids as much as I love mine, but when she passes them, I'm like, yes. Dive deeper.
Yeah, take them out. You know,
It makes it fun at that age.
I've looked at Raina like, fight them, you know.
Yeah.
Battle this thing back and forth. We love watching this on the weekends because these two, they'll be sitting. We talked about this last week. They'll be sitting at breakfast table. You know, if we stay up there Friday night, we'll go out for breakfast Saturday, and they're fighting at the table. You know, I'm going to win. No, I'm going to win. And I love to go out there and see it. As much as we're in this full bore, it's awesome to watch these kids do what they do. And
now they can fall and get dead last, and you're still just as happy because they did 2 or 3 things on the track.
Yeah, you know, they rode good. And the only time that I get mad is when, you know, it's my fault that they didn't finish.
Yep.
You know? The bike shuts down.
Yeah, you can definitely take it out on them.
Sometimes
I do the same shit.
Last week I didn't. You know, he kicked the coil came off. Well, here I thought he kicked it off, and I found out when we were at Spider the coil is actually junk. It won't hold on to the plug anymore. So I took it all apart and I put some wire in there and I bent it over so that way it would hold on to the plug so he could practice. But I took that out of myself all weekend because I'm like, you know, you're an idiot because you should have put that back on there. You should have seen that it was off and he could have finished the race out.
Yep.
You know, you're the mechanic, you're the dad, you're the whole 9 yards. The bank, the sponsor.
So team manager, I call myself.
With the 450s kind of thin, and I'm with you. I think I'm really sad because I don't think we're ever gonna see Tomek back on a bike. I think
You don't think so?
I think he's gonna come back.
I hope so. I hope he heals up, catches the last few rounds of this, and just puts it to him just to do something.
I think next year's gonna be it. So
which he's also, you know, like I said earlier, you got a family. You're at that age.
Yeah.
You got other things to worry about. You've already made a career for yourself.
He doesn't need anything.
No, shit happens, and you know, some careers end on top, some careers end at the bottom. James Stewart ended his sitting on a hay bale.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, it's
sat there and
that's
I
how
watched
it goes.
it all.
And I mean, to me, James best one yet. Like to come from what he did and to do the things he did, amateur wise, and then go. Like I said, you very rarely get that rider that comes out and dominates and can fall on the first lap, pass everybody back, and there's very, very few of them.
Yeah.
And there's something to be said for that. You can sit on a hay bale all you want in your career, throwing the deuces up as everybody else goes by. I already did what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if there's a couple more of them that I get to watch before my days end, then I'll be happy with that too. Like,
and James was just out there that night because I remember it thoroughly, and he sat on there and he looked at those guys like, I'm done.
Yeah.
You know, and they're like, oh, come on, you know,
only take
we'll
so
get it back
much,
next
man.
weekend. He's like, no, I'm done.
a lot of pressure.
Yeah, and at that point of his career, he didn't have to be there by any means. He wanted to be.
No, you have the endorsements. You have your, you know, you're doing what you're doing. Now he's got a podcast. He got everything. He's commentary.
Yeah, now he's
where he needs to be now.
He fell off the face of the earth for a while.
Took that time off, and sometimes
he
you gotta
needed
do that.
I listened to an interview with his mom, and she said he just needed to kind of reset.
Yeah.
He just needed, and I think he went through a divorce. He was trying to figure out who he was, and but
hey, you get real life shit involved in you know, this fantasy world that you live in.
I think one of the funniest stories I've ever heard of someone deciding when it was time is I heard a story one time. Tim Ferry, I think it was Tim Ferry, was racing, and Jason Thomas was in front of him. JT was in front of him, and they were going through the air, and Tim was working his head. I'm like, this one's far enough along. Can I call it now? Because he was struggling. He's like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
And he was going through the air, and he's told this story to people like, yeah, man, we were going through the air, and I'm hitting jumps, and I'm like, this investment's pretty good. I've got enough money here. And he's like, yep, I'm done. And
I'm gonna ride this one out.
And he just said, while he was on the track going through the air, this guy should not be beating me.
Yeah.
And I am.
Yeah.
I'm out.
Well, I think when you come to a point in that career, when it's a career and you're not riding anymore, then it's time to be done, because we all know I still love to get on a bike here and there, and
you're not going to race the money class.
No, but it's
because you can hang for a lap and you get hurt.
When I was riding, I wanted to be there, but when it gets to the point where you don't want to ride anymore, then you don't want it to be a job. Like these guys that are out there dominating, they want to ride.
Well, that's what Villapoto, it happened to him.
Yep.
And he will tell you now, man, maybe I should have switched up some stuff, because he did the same thing and he hated it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's cool about Barsha right now, is he's enjoying it. I think Sexton is on the journey, but he's young. But I look at some of these older, like Chisholm. Chisholm's now still racing for a factory team, but he is the guy that's going to take it to the next, because he's setting up the bikes. He's working on this aspect. Look at Marty Davalos.
Yeah, you're building a career out of it. You know, like he'll be the one that sets up the other. You know.
Yeah.
Carmichael did it for a while, had the team, and was doing his thing.
And he's still involved.
He's involved in everything.
When Triumph pops out, we're going to see a Ricky Carmichael experience again.
Yep.
Yeah. And I mean, he's full into that, and I've got the backstory on the whole Triumph thing. You know, sitting down with JH and talking to him, but you'll see a lot of these guys that just, when they retire, they don't want to ride a dirt bike anymore. Yeah. I can't imagine that, for one. But that's what this sport has become, is it pushes so hard that these guys, they're just done.
David Pingree says the same thing. He's like, dude, I can't stand that there's guys that don't want to ride. Chris Kiefer says the same thing.
Ryan Sipes says the exact thing. He's like, I cannot imagine not wanting to ride my dirt bike anymore.
You gotta look at Jeremy McGrath.
Yeah.
He still rides.
There was something I was listening to the other day. They were talking about it. They were like, he still goes out there and just dominates.
Yeah.
50 years old. And rides that thing like he's 21, and then gets off and he's just fine.
But in his era, it was all fun. You know?
That's what it is. That's Brian Deegan too, and all them guys. It was fun then.
Well, I think Deegan's back riding. Like I saw a video. He was out riding with Hudson the other day.
Yeah. Now that his kids are in it, and I was the same way. Like I quit for like 10 years, and then our kids got back into it, and I'm like, I've always had that urge.
Yeah, you want to ride a little bit. I can do one lap.
Yeah, but I
one
knew
lap real fast.
Yeah, but then I knew, through that 10-year period before our kids started, I knew that one, I had to pay the bills. Yep. We have young kids. At that point, we have babies. You can't ride.
No, you can't race.
No,
you can go ride a Croom and you can have a good time on a Sunday. You start pushing the envelope. It's done. I did it on a pit bike. I've been limping around for 3 months now.
When you take it competitive, it's a whole new ballgame. And I raced Dade City round 1 and totally wrecked myself. I was out having fun, but you start racing with kids that just don't care. They don't have that mentality of, I got to work tomorrow, and they'll wreck you. They don't care.
Yeah, I went and got run over by like 3 16-year-old kids.
Exactly.
I'm done.
And now it's MOTODAD. But as far as the pros, I think there's a lot to be desired yet. There's a lot that's going to show. There's a lot of riders that are going to come through the ranks. We said we wouldn't spend much time on it, so we're not going to.
We haven't. We popped through in and out. So
in and out.
But I feel like there were some good rides. I think Grant Harlan had a great showing this past weekend. To get a 6th in a moto is awesome. There's a lot of guys who are going to get a chance to shine. I think up top, we're going to have those 6 guys. Those 6 guys are going to be the 6 guys. The 6 true factory riders are going to be, until we get other guys coming back in or whatever. I'm kind of with you. I think that Cooper Webb's he's just a racer. Yep. He's just a racer.
Always has been. And that's why I keep going back to the amateur stuff, man. I watch these kids at Loretta's as amateurs.
Yeah.
It's cool to see the same kids at that level. I watch RJ grow up. I watch him race. To see Cooper Webb doing what he's doing is something, man. You're pursuing everything you ever wanted to do, and you're at the top of the chain doing it.
Yep.
I think with 3-4 races in, he's going to start putting his nose out there, and I would like to see him do something in these. I think he deserves it. You know what I mean? As much as I like seeing that new kid come up and kick ass, it's just, I like seeing the kid that's tried really hard win a championship too.
No, I agree.
I like seeing AP too. It was nice to see AP up in the mix, and
you're going to see him up in the mix a lot more.
Yeah. And he was letting it. I think in the first moto he passed Cooper twice because he fell twice.
Yeah, and he's still come
back.
And he
still caught him. And I thought
AP is a full-blown outdoors guy.
Yeah.
And there's not a doubt in my mind.
Well, Florida kid, you get him in the sand.
Yeah.
Get them in the sand, they just do their thing.
But I think it was, so the pros, I think great first round. Actually, it seemed like there was a better crowd this year out at Paula. It just seems like it's a tough place. You know, I know a lot of teams practice there during the year, but it just seems like it's a tough viewing spot. Like where you kind of saw, it's just tough. But it seemed like a better crowd. This next weekend at Sacramento, it's going to be.
Speaking of Paula, did anybody see while you were watching the race that it looked like a camper was on fire or something in the background?
Yes.
Did you see
I
that?
did not see that.
Black smoke as could be.
And they come down the one turn and you can see this fire is just blazing. And it's right up there in the camper area. And I was looking for like fire truck or something. But it looked like a camper was fully engulfed.
Oh, that's
Just-
awesome.
And
I didn't see that.
as black as the lid of
Oh,
your
yeah,
hat.
it was-
it was.
It was pouring over everything. I'm like, I wanted to look in to see what was on fire.
Something. Luckily, out there in the desert, it's gonna be hard for them to catch anything else on fire.
Yeah.
But this weekend, I think that track is gonna be fun. I think it's a cool track. It's gone through a heck of a rebirth too. So, it's just gonna be. I think it's the series. It's different this year. It's just different. We had that battle last year. I mean, Sexton and Tomac last year. That was a battle.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be. And then we had Jet in the 250s, and it just looks different this year. But we also have to appreciate, like you said, or one of you said, there's guys in the 30s and 40s that are happy to be on that gate racing a pro national.
Oh yeah. And it takes work to get there.
Give them their due, and let's appreciate what they're doing.
Even the young kids, like the HBI team, like they're just so happy to be there. When
Well, they put in work to be there.
and
it's a thing besides happy. It's these kids are putting in work to be at a pro level. To if you make that 40, think how many other 40,000 tried to get there.
that
You know
didn't
what I mean?
make it, and we've been in those shoes. I've been in those shoes personally, and to watch some of the kids that I grew up with racing that are there, and it's awesome to see it all.
No, that's cool. And then like even being older, like I said, like watching RJ come through and do what he's done and be where he's at now, you know, it's cool. You're coming from this local level, and you're watching these kids excel. It means a lot. Like, you know, there's people that think that deep into it. It really means a lot to see some kids going this far with it. Because there's a lot that get to this level and then stop. Like,
when you become a teenager, it's harder to push through to that level because you're going through a life change.
Yeah, you got 20 friends that either ride dirt bikes for fun, or you got the other 10 don't.
And I've been there. Like,
you
know, how do you afford to do that? Why do you do that? And then it's so easy to get caught up in the why do I do this?
Yeah, well, that's why I stay on like
Why don't
Caleb.
I go party?
Like I do. I'm like, yo, this is you got this shot. You know it.
Yeah.
You've told me you know that you got this one shot. You're at the age where you either do it or you don't, and you know he's doing it. To see him dominate what he does locally, and then go, they went up to that what was it, regional qualifier, and
they got like what, a third and a fourth or something like that.
5th in Pro 50 or 450 Pro Sport, and dominated Schoolboy. I think he finished 2nd or 3rd in Schoolboy. Like,
and that was a mud fest. Was that Muddy Creek?
I'm not sure.
I can't remember where they were
sure
at,
exactly
but
this weekend?
No, a couple 2 weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
Just to go there and do that, and you know, and then he's got the area at Gainesville coming up, and he calls me. He's like, "Oh, it's happening so fast," and I'm like, "This is how it happens.
Yeah.
Like, you've been back on the bike. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing. You got to keep your head on right and do what you're supposed to be doing. It's all practice.
Yeah.
Everything is practice until that big show, and you just keep going out and treating it like that. And I mean, it's paid off well for him. We did the Florida Series over in Orlando there, Bithelo, and the kid goes out and kills it. Mm-hmm. You know, people notice that. He got picked up. He's doing his thing with Future now. Like, I'm proud of him. I've been painting Caleb's helmet since he was Raina's age.
Well, that was the same way at Dade City. At Dade City, when he was out there dominating, and it didn't put the bike didn't have gas, and he was beating himself. Yeah, and he was beating himself up, and that's what I looked at him. Caleb Groves is who we're talking about. He's Future's new rider. He's 450 Pro rider.
Yep.
He races Dade City a lot. He's around our kids all the time. He pits with us, and he went out, and we talked about this last week. The bike didn't have gas. He was dominating, and the kid just sat there and beat himself up. And I'm like, that's when I looked at him like, dude, you're going to put yourself in a mental spot where
Yeah.
you're not going to win the next race.
This is funny. You forgot to put
Yeah.
gas in the bike at a local race.
We're all sitting here laughing, you know, and we've been here.
Yeah.
We've been through this, but you're that's somebody else's problem with that bike,
Yes.
you know. Quit beating yourself up
At least
because
leave a rag somewhere.
yeah, I did.
Hey, you're guilty.
I sure am. It happens, but yeah, it's the mental game is. And that's what I told him. Like you're gonna force yourself into a spot where you're not gonna win the next moto.
This happened here for a reason.
Yeah, we didn't know that we were gonna have a full blown mutter and they were gonna cancel everything at that point of the night. But
But he's smart enough to make his own decisions too.
Yeah.
And as a group decision.
But he's young enough. He's young enough.
I'm
that,
not gonna tear shit up. I'm not gonna risk getting hurt. Like he's making good decisions, and just as fast as things are moving for him, he's doing very well with it.
Yeah.
He's doing very well with it. He's making good decisions. He's living, at 19 years old, he's living kind of a dream right now that could get him to the next dream, could get him to that next level. And I out of anybody, man, I used to watch Caleb ride when he was little, and Caleb was always fast. I never thought when Raina started racing I'd relink with him and see what's going on right now. And I love the kid to death, so it makes me super proud to see him making the moves he's doing and riding like he is and being disciplined and still learning more discipline, to where in the next 2 years we could see him and not be talking about RJ Hampshire, we could be talking about Caleb Groves.
Yeah.
And I don't, that's not far-fetched.
No.
Like he's
a good rider.
He's a good rider, and he's got brains to go with it. Like he's smart with it. I'm looking forward to that. Like, especially, Raina loves him. Like, there's not.
And he's really good with the kids.
Awesome with kids.
Caleb too was going to be on the podcast with us tonight, and he's a long ways away, but he's really good with the kids, and he's another one of those amateur riders that he's at the pro level, but he still gives every kid the opportunity. He gives the insight to the kids, and he'll sit and talk to the kids, even though we're the older guys in the pit that'll sit there and we talk to him, like, this is what you need to do. You need to calm down. But then he takes all that and everything that he knows, and he talks to our kids that way. Yeah. And it's awesome to see it passed down like that, but he's one of those riders that still has the right mindset of help the kids, because they're, like we said, they're still, the amateur riders are the next pro riders.
So will he do Loretta's this year and then do the last motocross and then go 250E? Like what's his trajectory? That's a tough one.
I'm thinking after this area in Gainesville, he'll qualify for Loretta's. We know we're going to do mini O's, and the plan kind of all switched up now that he's with the future team. Like I'm hoping that they do Loretta's, they do mini O's, and kind of see where it goes from there. I think he's good with them till mini O's.
Does he have to do Supercross Futures? Does it?
I don't know. I haven't talked to him about that yet. I don't know what they're doing with that. I think right now it's kind of the outdoor stuff.
I'm not sure he even knows, because he's pretty new to the whole team thing.
He wants to ride and wants to flex his skills a little bit, and I think that's what he's doing right now. I think is where he needs to be. There's no pressure. There's no expectations. Like I don't think they expect him to go up there and do what he did a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
But now there's the opportunity of doing the next one, going to Loretta's. Who knows what happens after Loretta's? Yeah. Who knows what happens after mini O's? In my mind, I know Caleb personally. I know how his mindset is. I could see him going to mini O's and doing what Deegan did last year at mini O's. I just know Caleb that way.
Yeah.
I know that he's smart enough to ride smart, and I know that he's got enough drive to be up front, and which is really cool, because he and nothing, I don't think, for him is based around the opportunity of what could happen. It's all personal mental gain for him. He's taken this opportunity at this age. He realized how good he is at this age, and he's trying to do whatever he can with it for himself. It's not to benefit anybody else. I know his parents are super proud of him, and it's cool because I've known them for a long time too, and to see them back at the track and this kid doing what he's doing, and me being as close as I am to the situation, like, makes it really cool for me. it's cool having a little girl that jumps on the seat of that dirt bike to go up there every time he packs a gate. And her recognize that. I know that it's driven my kid to do what she's doing.
Yeah.
And that's why the amateur shit means so much to me. Like, these kids that are fast at the track at a local level are what drive 5 to 8 year olds to be what they are when they're 12.
Yep.
And then they start, they'll start watching the pros. By that time, that kid that they were hanging out with at 5 to 8 years old is at a pro level, and they know them personally. It drives even harder.
Yep.
It's the cool thing about this sport. It's not like football where that 1 in a million high school player gets picked to go play something, and somebody knew who they were. Motocross is like super personal. It's
a close knit family.
Yeah, I mean, and the ones that look at it's lifetime relationships, man. Like, we're starting off now with you guys with a couple 5 years old and an 8 year old. Like, you're in for life now. You're sucked in. You're done.
A year ago, we didn't even know who you were.
Yeah.
And now, we're hanging out at the house. We're at every race together. We've talked about this 100 times that it creates families.
Yeah,
it does. And this is probably the only sport that does that, because any other sport, it kind of turns people away from each other. It turns you against each other.
Even right down to BMX. I've raced BMX with people, and I'm like,
Trey's a big BMX
This
guy.
is crazy how the parents will divide this. Like, this is bicycle pedaling.
Yeah.
You're pedaling. Stop.
See,
let these kids have some fun.
And we're pushing our kids to battle each other, take each other out,
and they love it. Like, I watched Raina race that race. The only time she's won was up at Spider at that E-Jam thing.
Yeah.
But I also signed her up for the PEEWEE Open, which there was like 1 or 2 kids there that were super quick. Well, they crashed on the start. My kid led that race for like 3 laps, and then falls. And didn't even fall because it was a mechanic failure. Like, coming up the hill and just bah. And I'm like, go over to her, and she's in tears. And I'm like, look, you just won the last moto. Like, it's okay. Yeah. Just go ride your race. And she still came back and did pretty good. And at the end of the day, she's going up and give the kid that won a hug. Like, and then gets these trophies, man. I'm like in tears. Like, I'm like a little girl myself. She accomplished something that day. You can't miss that, man. Like,
Nope.
that's part of this, and it created a drive that I've never seen out of her at such a young age. And then we go through what we went through with the accident thing, and now it's coming back again. Like, it's an emotional roller coaster, but we're developing kids that are good kids. Like, outside of go, it's just a dirt bike. These kids are learning a lot of shit.
And they're making friends along the way. I mean, look at them out there swimming in our pool right now, and even the way, if Raina can go out, and last week we had a terrible week, and Bowen comes off, he's like, let's go give Raina a high five. Yeah. Let's do it.
No, and that's how it is. We got that whole little group there that does that too, and it's so cool. And they all just kind of feed off each other. If one's doing good, the other one's happy. And it might not be like that at 13, but I think it will be, honestly. Like,
the mentality that we're pushing into them, I think they're they're going to be friends. They're going to be racing up until they're
they're not going to be talking shit to each other when they lose.
No,
it'll be hey, you had a bad day. They work on this, work on that. Like,
they'll be saying what we're saying to them now.
Yeah, and I wake up. Kevin's son Declan. Like, I wake up some Saturday mornings. I don't even do school at Rain anymore. She's usually outside playing with him. Yep. And she's getting lessons from him. He's older. Like,
Declan will come down to our pit area because they pit next to us usually, and he'll be like, he'll sit on a bike and he'll tell these kids,
it's showing.
You need to do this. You need to do that. And it's awesome to see a young kid like that teaching. Yep. But
well, and he's a very good kid when it comes to that. Kevin does good with both them kids, and they share that information. Like, Kevin relays it better than I do, and he's usually got to talk to me about it.
Exactly. We're the same way with Kevin. It's hard for, I think, you and I both to teach. Yeah. We're not teachers by any means.
No.
I'm not a trainer. I try to train my kids, but I train hard, and that's just because that's how I train myself. And we're not in the same era that we were, so it's hard. Where Kevin, he's kind of put himself down on that level. And we got a wife.
Oh no.
We need a helmet?
Yeah, because They're all riding.
Oh, we're about to get some background noise.
Yeah, that's all right. We're stealing a helmet.
There you go, dear.
They're gonna go ride dirt bikes. But
Well,
let's.
Yeah, I want to talk about we've danced around it a little bit. I want to hear about the accident and then the comeback,
Yeah,
and what that has meant to you
Whew.
as a family, also to the racing community, because I'm guessing it was traumatic for many.
I got more phone calls that weekend from people that I used to race
It was
with.
a rough night.
And people that I never even knew, and then messages weeks later from people, you know, that have kids the same age, that race the same spots. And it really made me realize, like, wow, like, this is something I'm definitely going to keep my kid in. There's people that support it no matter what happens, and you know, if that's what it took for my kid to get known who she is, then it is what it is. But she is known. She knew that happened to her, and came back really hard. Like, there was a couple weeks, you know, I went through follow-ups with EEGs and MRIs and everything, and I got put in that situation. But she was fine the night we left. I mean, she woke up after her CT scan. She's like, "Oh, you and Grammy said that if I kicked ass, I get an electric bike." So we had to go buy her one of those Kawasaki Electros. She just, and to wake up, and it makes me smile, and I'm like, good, we're good.
Yeah.
And
What happened that night?
So,
I mean, I was there. I know what happened. But
opening night.
for everybody listening.
Opening night, we get set up, and I'm excited. I do the helmets and stuff. I had a whole thing set up, and we got our pit set up. First night there with the camper too, and I'm like, we got this whole thing going. I send her out for practice. She does awesome. Like, she was in the mode at that time. She goes out for her moto, 8 drops, battling 1 and 2 the whole time, and ends up second. When she's coming, they had them coming off the back at Dade City, where we used to come off.
Yep.
Falls in the sand, bike gets picked up, whether it could be by the throttle cable or whatever. Throttle hung up. So all the way from the back of the fairgrounds down to the starting gate where we were pitted, she comes through there wide open. And, you know, brakes are smoked. And PWs ain't got shit for brakes anyways.
Nope.
Somehow makes it through our whole pit of little KTMs and little PWs, and the tailgate being down in the camper, somehow snakes it through there. So makes it to the last truck on the property and hits the rear wheel of this truck and folded the P-dub in half. You know, the goggles cracked, sliced her eyes up.
Hit the
She's
bedside.
lucky she didn't lose her eye. Minor concussion and a minor fracture is what came out of it.
Yep.
But to me, running up the return road and then hearing Lindsay screaming for me to come down there, I get there, my 5-year-old little girl is like lethargic and bleeding and just unresponsive. So take her to the medic tent, they get us all set up there, call a helicopter comes, and I'm in a 20-minute helicopter ride to St. Joseph's with my kid at 5 years old, racing dirt bikes, something I wanted her to do. So the whole time in my head, I'm like,
Yep.
man, I messed up bad. Kid wakes up when we get there, you know, they're like, oh, soft entry or whatever that means. So I'm like, okay, it's not major because they're not rushing my kid in here. In there, everything's fine. Like I said, she wakes up and she's like, you owe me an electric bike. I'm like, sweet, we still race. And like, to me, I'm big on that. Like, get back. Every time she's ever fell, it's been get back up, go one more lap.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not trying to raise you to get hurt and stop. Like, I'm hard on a little girl. But the weeks coming back into it, like I said, I had to deal with follow-ups, and I had to deal with a kid that wasn't going to get back on the bike.
Yeah.
It's dangerous, you know, and it's coming from another source of, this is bad. You'll get hurt. You can get killed. You can get this. You can get that. And it was as a parent, I'm trying not to go, F that. You're not going to listen to this. Like, I got to be a real life dad. And, like, this is something I love to do, and I love to do with you, but also with everything else in the fold that I'm dealing with. I got to play these cards right. And I also got to raise a human at the same time. So I'm teaching her how to deal with it. And I'm doing it to the best of my ability. I couldn't do it without Lindsay and the rest of my family, man. Like, without them, I'd be kind of lost. I'm a good dad, and I do my thing, but without the support I have for that little girl, like, I'd be hard moto dad, and I'd be going everywhere every weekend, and I'd be wearing the kid out. She'd quit by the time she was 10. It's real life. Coming back into it, we went back the first night, ends up, 6th and a 3rd, got a 4th overall. Or no, the first night back she got 6th overall. Second week back, we got the 6th and the 3rd, and it started showing the second moto, and I started sending Caleb up there with her, just so I wasn't the one putting in her ear, go, 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 go. I sent Caleb up there, I sent Kevin up there with her, and it started working very well. This last week, Kevin helped her, grabbed a throttle, and she does not like that at all. And I don't know if it's something from that accident or if it's she just likes to control. But if you lift the ass end of that bike up and you tell her to rev it up, don't touch that throttle. You will get yelled at by the 5-year-old. And she screamed at Kevin this week and still ripped a good gate. I thought she was going to pull a whole shot. We're coming back into it where I'm starting to see signs of the little girl that would just whiskey it and ride. Like, take her to Spider, she'll ride like that every time. She's comfy there. Dade City, we still got a whole year left to PW. You guys do too, right? Yeah. So you still got all next year. We're going to let her finish this beginner class out and build that confidence. I think she can get a couple wins. And that would be great for her. I always wanted a little girl. When it comes to motocross, I'm like, little girls are probably harder. I can't yell and scream as much. She's a little softer. But I think calculating what she's doing, being a little girl, makes her have that edge right now. She's more calculated. She knows that she doesn't have to go win everyone. She's excited to go look at her overall and figure that out. And that excites me too. Like, especially now, I sent you the picture the other day. Like, now that we read, I can leave notes on the bar pad tape, and it's go fast, it's kick ass, and she knows, and it puts that smile on her face, and she does her thing. I'm hoping to get her on the KTM before the end of the year and at least start, getting into that a little bit. She rides it everywhere else. I think it's an intimidation thing with the noise, especially the way it hits after having a throttle sticking incident. The first couple times she got on that after her accident, it was, I'm getting off. Like that. Those bikes, to me, are meant to teach the kid to hold it wide open. It's the only way they work. Whether it's set at 6 clicks or 10, it's wide open or nothing, and they learn from that. We didn't have that.
We've talked about that before.
Yeah,
these 50s are a whole new era, and it's hard for us to teach it because we do rely on Kevin a lot because he didn't have that, but he's more advanced in the 50 era than we are.
He's got a year up on us.
Yeah, so you look at all these guys that are on these 50s, and you try to take advice from them, and they're all usually happy to help because it's a whole new era for us. Well, I started racing on an 85 at like 8 years old, and our kids are 8 and they're on 50s, so it's so much different. But and that's how Danny and I kind of come to know each other. Was that night that Raina had her accident, I was actually on the golf cart coming up out of the hole shot area, and I seen this P-Dub just hauling.
We didn't supposed to do that.
No, and we pit beside them at that E-Jam race. The kids behind us riding here, but we pit beside them at that E-Jam race. We talked a little bit, and then that night I didn't know who it was, but I was coming up on the golf cart and I seen this P-Dub just screaming, and the little girl on it is just screaming bloody murder. So what I did is I dove off the golf cart and I missed, and ever since then, I hurry up, I got back on the golf cart and I rode back down, and I seen what happened. I'm like, dude, you should have caught her. And I beat myself up over that for weeks.
Oh, my stepfather put himself through hell.
Yeah.
Just because he didn't grab her, and it's like, you don't know it. We know this kid. We know she gets upset over things. Like, and to me, as a dad, I'm like, she's not upset over second, but, Bobby could have thought she was. Like, she could have been pissed off she didn't win.
Yeah.
And
that's how I was too. But then I seen that P-Dub haul, and I'm like, that thing shouldn't be doing that. And her to be screaming like that, I wasn't sure. So I dove, but then, I dove, and then I thought about it. I'm like, what if I'd have hurt that girl? But then I seen the wreck.
Yeah, then you're like, oh, I would rather ripped her off.
Yeah. Then I'm like, I wish I would have broke her arm. Yeah. Because at that point they were thinking she had a broken neck and,
Oh, it
and
was
this
bad.
and that. And it was,
You weren't scared
yeah. And
as a dad?
I was right there, you know, I was right there after she hit. And I know you were screaming because I was coming up out and you didn't even know where she was.
Yeah.
And, you know, I remember it so thoroughly. And I seen the bedside of that truck and I'm like,
Yeah, she
Jesus.
blasted that thing.
And it was, but then we ended up meeting these guys up at Daytona.
Yep.
And, you know, I told them, I knew who they were because I just being at that E-Jam series. And then from there, you know, the rest is history. But that was a rough night. And
to me now that I'm thinking about it, like weeks in, and like when we go racing, and how she's doing with the P-Dub now, and like even like she used to be right there with Wes, and Wes is fast now, and he's getting faster. She was right there. If she wouldn't have had that, you know, coming from a realistic standpoint, I would have already had 2 Cobras in the garage.
Yeah.
I would have been pushing her. I would have got her, like, and I'll take that 100%. I would have got her hurt on something like this because I would have pushed it, and she wouldn't have had that scare to where she'd have hold that thing like she's supposed to, and I would have got her hurt. So I'm kind of, you know, knowing we have a year left on the P-Dubs, knowing that she rides that mini and is not scared, no matter if it's not at the track or whatever, like, there's a part of me that's happy that happened to kind of slow me down. And make
and
me
she wasn't
realize,
hurt bad, thank God.
No, thank God.
And,
could have been a lot worse.
oh, I can't believe it wasn't a lot worse. Like, even when I was right there when it happened, I'm like, oh my God,
Yep.
you know. But by the grace of God, she's perfectly fine. And, you know, we had the same incident where luckily the brakes were still fine on our P-Dub, and Bowen was able to squeeze both brakes and it stopped it. And but it set him back too, because of that he was scared to death to get on that bike ever again.
No, and we also forget that they're 5.
And that's what stems a lot of this is at that age I was riding, but I wasn't at this level. Like,
No, and nobody pushed you like we do.
Yeah,
we weren't going to the track I didn't have the luxury of having parents that load up a trailer and go every weekend.
Exactly.
We're gonna do this.
Yeah.
I love doing that with her. Like and like I said earlier, outside of we race dirt bikes, man, we're building relationships, and not only for her, but for me and Lindsay, and meeting new people, and building lifelong relationships that our kids are going to be friends for life. You never think of that before you're a parent. Like, oh yeah, we race dirt bikes. This is fun.
Yeah.
You know, we wouldn't be over here if it weren't for these kids racing dirt bikes. We wouldn't be doing the things we're doing. We wouldn't have the relationships we have, and especially our kids, man. Like, to me, that's the biggest part of it is, you know, she goes to a school to where we really don't have a lot of school friends. We don't hang out with the kids from school, out of school.
That's how we are. All the kids are into sports. And,
this kid looks forward to being at the track on Friday night, hooking up with your kids, riding their bikes around, you know, building dirt bike tracks to play with their toys, and just running around on the track, and who God knows what they're thinking or talking about.
Yeah.
But it's they're being kids, man, and we're at least we create an environment where, you know, we're at a dirt bike track. We don't have to worry about them. We don't have to be, hey, don't do that. Hey, don't do this. They're still learning and living and doing without being so structured in the neighborhood that you can't hang out with this kid or you can't do that. Like, we're all doing the same thing.
No, they're talking about Blippi, by the way.
Probably, but at the motocross track, they run and they do their own thing. It's like they get to be their own little humans. And you're going to see in the camera here that, and you can hear it.
Is he going already?
These kids are out just riding with each other, and sitting at our private little track here. That, you know, they practice together, they race together. The environment that it creates is just out of this world, man. I don't think any other sport can bring that to you.
I think it's most impressive that there's such a I don't know the proper word, but there's such a push to, you know, kid gloves our kids, and Raina had for lack of a better term, a catastrophic accident.
Yeah, most parents would have quit.
Yeah.
I'm not
That's not
with
us.
that.
But even for her to want to come back and, for lack of a better term, get back on the horse. Whether that meant that she just said, hey, I want to go to Bay City and I want to ride, and I don't care how good I get.
Yeah, well, that's what made me go to that mode.
Yeah.
We're not this isn't win-win-win. This is, you go have fun and do what you got to do.
Yeah.
I mean, she's falling over back here already.
It happens.
It's go have fun. And as long as you come off the track with a smile on your face, it changed me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was the dad that was. I mean, I'd take her to school, and if she didn't want to ride, I'm yelling,
Throwing stuff.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
wasn't good.
We're selling.
It wasn't
bikes.
good. It wasn't good. Lindsay stopped that 100%.
So
She's like,
have you found the? Because I think there still has to be a little bit of that. And it's that fine line, the push of, hey, you've got some skills. We're gonna.
Yeah.
So have you been able to find that yet?
I think she knows that she's good because she's the type that doesn't want to practice or nothing. Like, I'm surprised she's riding. She's riding now because she's riding with them. By herself, she wouldn't ride here. Lindsay helps a lot with that because she's very positive. All, you know, you're good, and she's a girl. It's coming from a mom figure.
Yeah.
From me, it's coming from you're yelling at me, like, and I get that. I'm not the nicest person when it comes to relaying messages.
Bowen's the same way, and I'm the exact same way. Like, but I know, like, when he's having a bad day, like last weekend.
Yep.
You know, I grabbed him by the nose of the helmet, and I'm like, listen to me. You know, I wasn't yelling.
Yeah.
But I knew that his head wasn't where it needed to be. It didn't dawn on me that he's 5 years old. But I did. I grabbed him by the helmet, and I'm like, you need to listen. Like, we're going to ride this bike, or we're not going to ride at all, because you're either going to go out there and get hurt, or you don't want to ride today.
Yeah.
And there still is the moto aspect that you kind of have to push on them just a little bit, even though they're 5 years old. You know, you got to push just a little bit, but there is times that we're over pushing.
Yeah.
You know, overbearing, but they're still kids, and
Well, there is a danger attached to it, and if they're not,
Yeah, there's
in
a
it,
real danger.
They can get hurt.
Yeah.
They can get hurt.
I
So-
agree.
So
And
there is a little bit of a.
you have to know when you can push
Yeah.
and when you can't, and that's part of knowing your kid.
Yeah.
Like, if you're the motodad, like, we see it weekly out there.
Push them till they could get hurt.
and they get hurt.
Yeah.
You know, every week you see them going down, and even if they're hurt, that motodad is putting them back on that bike. Like, what are you doing? But you know, our aspect, we know when we can push and when we can't push, because in the sport you do have to push some.
No,
I mean,
I'm fortunate enough. I have somebody, like I said, with her with me. She'll tell me to shut up.
Yeah.
She'll tell me, look, she's had enough.
Or I don't want to ride, or you know, this and that. And if that's the case, then you don't ride because you get hurt, and you don't want these kids to get hurt. So it's finding that fine line and pushing when you can push and when you can't push. So
Well, let's do this because I'm curious about the painting, the helmet painting.
Mm-hmm.
Have you painted your dream helmet, and if not, who would be your dream? What would be your dream helmet?
To do for somebody?
Yeah.
I like the fact that I don't think Caleb will go anywhere without making sure I paint it. Like, that's cool for me. Coming from this age to where we're at, my mentor who taught me used to do some stuff for Timmy Ferry and Fly back in the day. Justin's done all kinds of crazy stuff for different people. All the OCC stuff he did.
Oh wow. Okay.
Different helmets for different NASCAR drivers and stuff like that. Like, for me, like I said, I don't want to jinx myself. I talked to Matt Bell a couple weeks ago about doing some stuff for the team. Just to have some stuff that I know will be seen somewhere. Like, the helmet level, it doesn't create a living for me, but it's where the roots are with this. Like, the motocross helmets are so cool for me. Like, being able to personalize stuff and, you know, kind of flex my talent a little bit when it comes to team helmets. That's kind of the cool part. The rest of it's all work. You know, the Harley stuff, the boats, and just make sure I get my kid to the track on Saturday.
you know, I think we can relate with this is with this whole platform here that we've created is kind of giving some of these people, maybe not us, you know, there is a personal gain in it, but giving some of these riders, you know, an opportunity to shine, or the MOTODADS, or the businesses like Danny here, that give them a spot to show and to excel, or to, you know, whatever the word is that you want to give it, but it gives them an opportunity to excel everything, or show off their work, or even like these little riders that we got, you know, where else are they going to get camera time or interview time?
Yeah.
And
no, that's what's cool. Like, I'm waiting for her. We've been practicing for when she gets that first podium at Dade City. I'm like,
yeah,
But
and that's what we want to do is, you know, give some of these kids the opportunity to talk where they don't normally get to talk.
Yeah.
So
For sure. But before we roll out, I want you to give yourself some promotion. What's the name of the company? Where are you located?
So I'm 53 Grafix, Lakeland, Florida. So right here in the middle of everything. We do custom helmets. You know, the best way to get a hold of me is Instagram at 53grafix.com. It's Grafix. That's probably the best way. I don't do the website stuff no more. I just kind of float through. My main thing is, you know, getting my job done during the week, taking my kid racing on the weekends. Kind of lax life, getting older. And
so when is the next round?
next weekend.
Next weekend,
for us,
next weekend for you guys. She's on vacation with her mom for like 2 weeks, so we will miss one, and then I think we missed a couple more in October. But I haven't checked the points lately. I know she's still bumping herself up there.
She just passed Bowen this week.
Okay.
So she went into 10th. Bowen's in 11th.
All right.
Obviously, we're gonna pass her this weekend. So
Yep.
hopefully, when she comes back, we can
be more battling.
keep that battling.
Like I said, I'm not even like everybody moves up after the 10th round.
Yeah, it's all gonna change.
Yeah,
so,
it'll all change because I'll throw the points out the window. I just want some. I wanted to get some wins. I wanted to build some confidence.
I think points wise,
first full year.
Points wise, Bowen and Rainer are going to be right at the top
Yep.
once the change happens.
Yeah, that'll be sweet.
Dade City splits the points mid season, so they put the PEEWEE 4 to 6. There's 2 different classes, and what they do is halfway through they split it up in between the faster kids and then
trying to push the
other
sandbaggers
kids.
out.
Yeah, and so like our kids here come round 10 will be like 1, 2, and 3, you know, and it's then it's gonna get exciting. It'll be fun. I know.
Yeah, it'll be more fun for us than it is them. Right?
Yeah, I mean, for us, that's where the MOTODAD comes in.
Yeah.
Like, but it'll also be fun for them because it's like a championship that they're going for. Even if they're not in it, it's still. And like we said, they battle back and forth at the breakfast table. Who's gonna win?
Yeah, that's what makes it cool.
So it'll be fun. I'm sure they're out here just
She's done now.
tearing each other up. So.
Any final words from you, Derek?
No, I thank Danny for coming. We're going to go out and enjoy the kids riding on Memorial Day today. Like I said, it's not a happy day, but we make the best of it. Thank all of the fallen heroes. Dedicate this episode to them. And thank them for what we get to do today. And we're going to go out and let our kids enjoy it.
You're allowed to be happy. As I heard yesterday watching the Indy 500, they always, if you've never had the opportunity to go to the Indy 500, it's the most spectacular thing in the world. But also the broadcast, they actually did interviews with Gold Star families yesterday. And one of the ladies put it so beautifully. She's like, go enjoy your barbecue. Go enjoy the lake. Go have fun. But please remember.
Yeah, these people are the reason that we get to do this.
That's the reason that this holiday exists, is because there are families like mine that don't.
Yeah.
And it kind of put it in perspective, because I've always been, man, you can't say Happy Memorial Day. You just can't. Like, it's not happy.
Yeah.
There's a family that got a gold star that no family wants to get a gold star.
Yeah.
But that being said, it is Memorial Day, and it is an extra time for families to spend with families and friends and eat and ride dirt bikes and talk about painting helmets and motocross. So, yeah, I'm happy to be here today. I'm hoping to eat a few of your ribs.
Oh, you bet. We got 3 racks of ribs on the smoker.
Eat some ribs. Watch
dirt bikes.
Watch the little kids ride. And for Derek Schaefer with DBS Handyman Services and Custom Fabrication, I'm Trey Heath with Michelle and Trey Real Estate. Danny, thank you for joining us. 53 Grafix.
Absolutely.
And we'll see you all. We don't know where we'll be sitting next week, but we'll be here.
We'll figure it out when it comes.
Bye-bye.